I have this terrifying feeling that I am fundamentally betraying my own potential. I'm a Berkeley pre-med student studying biology, economics, and psychology. Yet, yesterday, I sat paralyzed at my desk for 4 hours doing absolutely nothing. My ADHD brain felt like a browser with 100 tabs open. But then I read a 1945 French philosophy book that accurately diagnosed my exact paralysis. Today, we are translating Sartre's into a medical prescription for the neurodivergent brain. Grab your tea or your Coke Zero, I love, and let's talk about this. Welcome back. My name is Alanud, and today we're going into a very raw conversation about the weight of our own expectations. In this book, Jean Paul Sartre, The Age of Reason, the protagonist is a philosophy teacher who spends the entire novel completely paralyzed by his own freedom. He has infinite choices, infinite possibilities, and because of that, he does nothing. When I read this, I feel deeply exposed. As someone from a diverse, high expectation background, I am constantly told I have so much potential. But what Sartre helped me realize is that potential is actually a trap. Today, we are going to diagnose this feeling of the unlived potential and then use our ADHD framework. We're going to write a prescription. Our first diagnosis is Sartre's paradox of freedom. Sartre famously said that we are condemned to be free. There is no pre-written script for our lives. For a neurotypical brain, absolute freedom sounds inspiring. For an ADHD brain, on the other hand, it sounds like a literal nightmare. Infinite freedom is the natural enemy of executive function. This is especially true if you are a polymath like me, because I study molecular and cellular biology, economics, and philosophy, and psychology. My brain doesn't just see one path forward. It sees multiverse of equally terrifying options. When I sit down at my desk, my brain says, should I do my flashcards for my biology class, or should I review the reading of my historical economy class, or should I write the psychology paper that is due in a week? Because I have so many options and such a paralyzing fear of choosing the wrong one, I just choose nothing. I feel like a ghost in my own bedroom. Sartre called this anguish, the crushing weight of realizing you are fully responsible for your choices. For us, it translates into pure ADHD choice paralysis. This brings us to a psychological concept closely tied to Sartre's work, the psychology of the unlived potential. If you were a gifted kid, your brain is brilliant at generating grand visions, but there is a sick subconscious comfort in keeping those visions inside your head. Why? Because as long as your pre-med dreams, or your art, or your business idea stay in your head, they remain perfect. They have infinite. The second I open my MCB textbook to memorize a cellular pathway, or the second I decide to pick up my paintbrush, it becomes real. It becomes flawed. It becomes difficult. So our ADHD brain decided to stay in the realm of potential to protect our own egos. We betray our potential by trying to protect it. Subconsciously, we would rather be a stressed genius who just can't focus than a student who tried their absolute hardest and still failed. And here's where Sartre hits us with the hardest truth of all. Existence precedes essence, meaning you are not defined by your inner thoughts, secret intelligence, or your grand and color-coded study plans. You are defined only by your actions. As an ADHDer, I constantly judge myself by my intention. I tell myself I intended to study hard for 8 hours today, therefore I am a dedicated student. But Sartre is looking directly at us and telling us, no, stared at a wall for 8 hours. You are your actions. When we avoid taking action because we're waiting for the perfect dopamine hit or the perfect burst of motivation, we are living in what Sartre calls bad faith. We are lying to ourselves. So if we're paralyzed by our own potential, what is the prescription? What do we do to fix this? First, rest. Before you can actually make a choice, you have to regulate your nervous system. You have to allow yourself to rest without the guilt of I should be studying or I should be doing this. The guilt is draining your executive function and it's making you not actually do what you have to do. Second thing, we need destabilization. I talked about this 100 times. If infinite freedom is the enemy, we must artificially remove our freedom. We need to turn off those lights, put on those noise canceling headphones, close the 99 tabs that we have open. Shrink your world so your brain has fewer choices to make. Third, to do it badly. Sartre says you must act to define yourself. He never said that you have to act perfectly. I'm a painter, and the hardest part about art is the blank canvas. It holds infinite, terrifying potential. The only way to break that paralysis is just ruin the canvas. Make a bad brushstroke. The same applies to your academic. Doing terrible, messy, unfocused 15-minute review of biology flashcards or MCAT studies is philosophically and practically superior to a perfect 4-hour study session that just happened in your brain. Perfectionism is bad faith. Ruin the canvas. Fourth, energy blocking. Stop demanding that you operate like a robot. I don't use rigid time blocking anymore. Instead, I do 24-hour ADHD time scans to assess my energy. Biology requires a different cognitive energy than painting. I stopped asking what time it is and I started asking what kind of energy I do have right now and what task into that container. Work with your neurodivergence, not against it. The moral of the story is that your potential is not a fragile glass vase that you need to protect. By doing nothing, your potential is clay. It is supposed to get messy. It is supposed to be shaped by your actions, by doing it badly, by failing, and by trying again. Don't betray yourself by waiting for the perfect condition. They aren't coming. Take a deep breath. Go do something badly today. Go fail. I fail all the time. It's a struggle. And as a student with ADHD trying to balance multiple interests, I am going to fail sometime. We are always going to struggle. But when you persevere and you do not blame yourself, it can make all the difference in the world. It can make a really huge impact. You can pick up the book again. You can choose to learn again, and that's okay. Thank you for listening to my talk. I hope you enjoyed my video today. If you did, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you really like my videos and learned something, you can watch my last video on how can you stop consuming and start creating. Thank you again for watching my video, and see you next time. Bye bye.